Hello, 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 and welcome back to realmnews. I am your host, the Dark Lord, the one who puts the real in realm and expands your mind one block at a time. I know it has only been a couple days since I talked to you all on Realm News Flash, but it feels like it has been much, much longer than that. It is great to have you all back here for a brand new episode. As you could guess from the show title, the subject today is the glass bottle, the Minecraft glass bottle, and the human history of the glass bottle. It is a bit of an obscure topic today, but this item is part of Minecraft, and I am on a mission to catalog every object in the ever-expanding game of Minecraft. Today, I'll be telling you all about the Minecraft glass bottle, how you can make it, its history, and its many uses. As always, I will link this to the real world, where we will discover where the glass bottle originated and some other interesting history behind the glass bottle. So if you want to find out how to catch dragon's breath or learn about Mesopotamian glass and the Speyer wine bottle, then sit back, get comfortable, and let's get this show started. It's poll time! That's right, my friends. It is another week of poll time. This is where I report to you all the results of my weekly poll that I post on Reddit, and I read off the comments from fellow Minecrafters. This week's poll is in relation to last week's topic. The question was, do you like the bundle? This simple question earned 50 votes, which is just exciting. I provided two binary options, yes or no. It cannot be easier than that. So let's dive right into it. I will start with the loser, who lost by a lot. Like a lot. It only earned a measly 10% of the votes, which equals out to 5 votes in total. And that is the no group, the group who does not like the bundles. I did not vote for the no group, but I shall play the devil's advocate for the sake of fairness in the show. The reasons that I have seen for why people may vote no, meaning they do not like bundles, is that it just simply took too long for Mojang to add them into the game. That's simple, really. If you listened to last week's episode, which bundles were the subject of that episode, if you haven't got that by now, then you already know that it took them 4 years to add bundles. It is a little understandable that people are perturbed that it took so long for them to drop that, because the bundle was announced at the 2020 Minecraft live event, and we did not get the bundle until October 22nd, 2024 this year. Also, people just seem to think that it is not that impressive for it being 4 years worth of work. Those are the sentiments that I have seen online. They are not my personal thoughts. I love the bundles. I find that it has vastly improved the game, and I doubt that they were concentrating on bundles for a whole 4 years total. To me, it was probably just put on hold until the appropriate time to add them. Everything had to be lined up for replacing the update system with the newly fomented drop system. Now, moving on. Let's talk about the yes group, the people who love the bundle, which includes me. This group earned 90% of the total vote, equaling 45 votes in total. That is a blowout. I have stated my opinion on why I love bundles in last week's episode, but to sum up why I enjoy them, well, they just make travel much easier. I feel like I'm able to go on much longer treks now than before the bundle dropped into the overworld. It also has helped me organize and condense down my chests. The bundle has been a massive help to me, but let's hear from a couple Minecrafters and see how they enjoy it. I shall start with Fizzy163, who says this, quote, I'm playing 1.2 or 1.20.6 with bundles and Fabric mod that adds the scroll feature from 1.21.2. They're incredible. Mojang was right when they said this was the solution to inventory management. The fact that you can put bundles inside bundles means that you can even carry around up to 9 bundles in a single inventory slot. They allow you to carry so much more than before they than before they were added. And even once you're at shulker box stage, they don't get invalidated since they can still free up shulker storage. Assuming you're a casual player and not the kind of person that has dozens of shulkers filled with stacks of them of the same items. Sorry, I'm having a hard time enunciating all this. Going on. Anyone that says that bundles aren't useful are probably complaining about how they can't put non-stackable items in them, which would completely invalidate the shulker box and completely wreck the balance of the game, end quote. This is obviously a comment from a bundle advocate. I agree with them wholeheartedly. The bundle has massively improved the inventory problem as they have described in their statement there. I can attest to this myself. As I have just mentioned, the bundle has helped me condense down and free up a lot of inventory slots in my chest. I look forward to using bundles to all my chests eventually. I also use them in my ender chests. I'm not at the level where I can craft shulker boxes yet, but I can see how this would be an immense improvement to those as well. I cannot wait to get shulker boxes in the game. It is one of the only reasons I want to go to the end dimension. The nesting of the bundle is also a very cool function of the bundle. I am currently carrying around a spare bundle on one of my bundles, just in case I fill up the 3 that I have already. Thank you, Fizzy163, for that amazing comment. I truly appreciate it. Look for more polls to comment on in the future, please. I usually post on my Realm News Reddit page every Saturday. Now let's move on to the next and last commenter for this week on Poll Time. They go by the handle _UnoGasai_simp, who says, quote, I've not played much with the final release of them, but they still have a lot of the same issues as the old ones, in my opinion. Only being able to fit a stack just isn't all that useful because I collect stacks of the same item at a time and I just don't really see a use for them, end quote. It appears that this individual does not see a use for the bundle, and I can see why. It really is an idiosyncratic game, Minecraft. We all have preferred tools, weapons, build styles, speeds of advancing, etc. So, the use of the bundle depends on how you want to play the game. Since the bundle only carries a max of 64 items, it makes sense that this would essentially be useless to players such as our friend here. I am very happy to get a comment from each side of the coin on today's poll time, the yes and the no. Personally, I think the bundle is a great item to have in the game, regardless if you like them or not. I think these are great, especially for just starting a new world. And if you have never played Minecraft before, then these would be a blast to discover and to have at the beginning of your game. I thought this was just a great poll, and I loved reading off those 2 comments. Thank you _UnoGasai_simp for that great comment. I hope to read off more comments from you in the future. With that said, that wraps up poll time, folks, and you know what that means next. Yes, it is on to the real segment of the show, where I'll be linking real-world knowledge, specifically the history of the glass bottle, to this week's subject, the Minecraft glass bottle. I am ready when you are. Let's go to the real. Welcome back to The Real, my friends. We are talking about glass bottles today. Glass in general has an extensive history with us humans. Surely you have seen a glass bottle before. They are everywhere. Soda is contained in glass bottles. People drink alcohol in the form of wine and beer out of them. Perfume and colognes are stored in glass bottles. Olive oil and any other liquid that you can think of has been stored in a glass bottle. Personally, I have always had a fascination with glass and crafting with it. As a kid and even as an adult, I have always marveled over antique glass medicine bottles and other glass jars and vessels. I like seeing all the unique shapes, colors that they come in. Also, when I was young, my mom taught me the art of lamp working or making glass beads from raw glass rods. holding the glass rod in one hand and spinning the mandrel around simultaneously to form the bead over a hot flame. I still do this today, albeit not too often. I have been meaning to make some creeper face beads. I just think that would be cool. Anyways, I just wanted to say that I love glass and people who do glass work. As I just stated, we humans have been working with glass for a very long time. I will not be going over the beginnings of glass, but skipping forward a bit and going straight to the glass bottle. I will make a more extensive episode over glass when I get to glass blocks and panes of glass in a future episode. According to blog.bottlestore.com, glass bottles first made their appearance on the historical timeline around 1500 BCE in a place called Mesopotamia. It's not the first time I mentioned that on the show. Meso meaning between, and potamos meaning rivers, meaning between rivers, which is referring to the region between and around the two rivers in the Middle East and parts of Asia. The two rivers being the Tigris and the Euphrates. This area today is also known as the Fertile Crescent, which is where the countries of Iraq, Turkey, Syria, and Kuwait are currently located. Back in ancient times, glass was created by using a material called natron, which natron is made of sodium carbonate decahydrate, sodium bicarbonate, and a little bit of sodium chloride and sulfate. If you are like me, then this is an alien language to you. Natron, in simple words, is a flux used to help lower the melting point of glass, which allows it to be shaped and manipulated easier. There is a myth of how glass was discovered that I would like to tell you all. It is a brief story. Supposedly, some ancient merchant ships that were carrying a large cargo of natron became shipwrecked and were stranded on the current-day Syrian coast. The shipwreck crew, while stranded on the sandy beach, used the natron to prop up their pots in order to cook food. As they cooked their food, they began to notice the sand that was slathered to the natron stands. They started to melt into glass. This is how glass was discovered, or according to the legend. I will let you all come to your own conclusions on that story. However, it is agreed upon that the first glass-blowing techniques that were developed in the 1st century BCE on the Syrian coast. Before glassblowing, ancients in Mesopotamia would have to form glass bottles with tedious molds or with clay. They would essentially pour the molten glass over a clay shape and let the glass cool. They would chip out the clay in order to open up the cavity, thus creating a vase or a glass or whatever you wanted. Glass blowing with the blowpipe increased the efficiency of manufacturing glass bottles and making more unique ones. Britannica.com goes on to say that glass blowing has remained relatively the same since 1st century BCE. The ancients would gather a glob of molten glass on the end of the hollow pipe, which is the blowpipe. They would then blow on the cool end of the pipe, of course, and the air would inflate the molten glass. They would shape it on a piece of flat metal or stone called a marver. This is done by rolling it or using the edges of the marver to shape it, and by using various other hand tools. The glass, while cooling down, is still pliable, and you are able to shape it and even cut away glass using shears. Glass blowing allows the artist to make whatever is in their imagination to come to life. While I was in college, I knew many people earning their degrees in glass blowing. Emporia State University is one of the few universities in the United States and on Earth to offer degrees in glass blowing. It is quite fascinating to watch these artists blow glass, and I have seen this work for myself. I am always amazed to see what people create out of it. The Romans adopted glass as a way to preserve a whole range of liquids. Glass will preserve the flavor of foods better than earthenware containers, which they used prior to glass bottles. Of course, this also applied to wine. The Romans ditched the clay bottles and started to make glass wine bottles instead. And we have one on Earth today with actual wine in it still. Well, more like a sludge, but it is wine. An article found at foodandwine.com titled, "Experts Say This 1700-Year-Old Bottle of Wine is Probably Still Drinkable," by Jalisa Castrodale, states that this 1700-year-old wine bottle was found near the town called Speyer, in which it is named after, which is located in southwest Germany. This wine bottle was one of more than a dozen found in the tomb of an upper middle class Roman couple. All of the other bottles that were found had become unsealed and the contents gone with the sands of time. Astonishingly, though, one of the bottles remained intact and sealed, with wine still in the ancient Roman glass bottle. This site does not have a picture of the wine bottle on it, but I will post a link of it on Realm News' Reddit page with a picture of the wine bottle that you can access. It is a really cool looking bottle. It is clear with two small handles attached to the neck. However, you would not want to drink the liquid that remains inside of it. I recommend looking at the picture. Apparently, the Romans had an ingenious technique of sealing their wine. They would put a bit of oil on the top of the wine. It would just float on the top of the wine. And then they would seal off the top of the bottle with wax. This is what kept the contents inside the bottle so well preserved for more than a millennia. However, the oil has solidified and the contents inside the bottle have mostly hardened, except for a little bit of liquid on the bottom. Experts say that it is hard to call this wine anymore, for all the alcohol in it is surely gone by now. And apparently, they say that it would taste like old chewing gum, which is rather tasteless and lackluster. You would know this if you ever collected old baseball cards that contained sticks of gum inside the packs. I collected these as a kid, and I made the mistake of trying a piece of gum from the pack of cards dated in the 70s. It was not appetizing. So I can only imagine just how disgusting this 1700-year-old Roman-aged wine could be. I can only imagine. They say that it is palatable and safe to ingest. However, they are not certain on how the contents would handle the air. It may go into a shock, whatever that means. They plan on doing further testing to see if the remaining liquid can handle the air. If you would like to see the world's oldest bottle of wine firsthand, you will have to make a visit to Speyer, Germany, and visit the historical museum of Palatinate. That is where you will find it on display. Back to the blog.biostore.com article. After the Roman Empire collapsed, there was a setback in glass production. Many of the techniques were apparently lost, or there were not enough trained glass workers remaining in the ancient world after the collapse of the Roman Empire. It wasn't until 1000 CE that a good amount of glass was being produced again. The Fertile Crescent was no longer the premier glass-producing region in the world any longer. Premier glass was now being produced in Europe, in countries such as Italy, Germany, and Switzerland. A specific type of glass was being produced, a glass that took on a unique name called forest glass. It was called forest glass because the glass was manufactured in the middle of the woods. Allow me to quote the Corning Museum of Glass. Quote, "Glass made in the rural glasshouses of Central and Northern Europe in the late Middle Ages and the early modern period. Most forest glass was fluxed with potash, derived from the wood with which the furnaces were fueled. It is green because of iron impurities in the sand from which it was made. The German term for forest glass is Waldglas." End quote. Wald in German literally means forest, and Glas means, glass in English. Potash is the flux used to help make glass in the same manner as the natron I mentioned earlier. Hence, the reason why these glass workshops were in the middle of the forest. They needed the intense amount of fuel required to make the glass, the fuel being made from felled trees. I thought that was just really interesting to learn. Also, type in forest glass into a search engine and look at the images it produces. They are beautiful. If you have been to an antique shop, then you may have seen some forest glass or imitation forest glass before. It is such a beautiful green, translucent hue. Some are a purplish color. I thought it was fascinating to learn that it was the sand of that area which makes it that unique green color. This colorful, opaque glass was the main type of glass that was created for most of the Middle Ages. It wasn't until the end of the Middle Ages that glassmakers and gaffers were starting to produce clear glass. Gaffers and glass blowers are the same thing. This was achieved by only obtaining the most pure sand and materials, also by adding a small amount of manganese oxide to the mix. Let's fast forward to the 15th century. Italy is now considered the glass master of the world at this point, and specifically on the island of Murano, Italy. These glass masters had perfected their craft so well that countries of France and Germany were trying to bribe the Italian glassmakers to leave and come to their countries. Italy responded by giving the glassmakers something that no other tradesperson had at the time, a higher social status, and that they could marry their daughters into nobility, which was a huge advantage to have back then. It was a way for upward mobility in such a rigid, hierarchical society. Today, glass is still blown, but is more of a niche craft. Most of our glass here in the United States is produced on a mass scale, and that is all thanks to the quote-unquote gob feeder technique. This technique was invented in 1915 by Carl Peeler. How it worked in the most basic sense is that the machine would dispense out a uniform amount of molten glass, or a gob, into molds. This made the glass bottling process much more efficient and less costly. Today, 40 billion, yes, billion with a capital B, glass bottles are produced each year in the United States alone. To me, that is a mind-boggling amount of glass bottles, people. Seriously, I had no clue that we'd produce that many bottles in this country. It is the perfect time for glass containers, though. Glass is the perfect recyclable material. It can be recycled indefinitely without losing quality. Also, glass is one of the best containers for preserving foods and liquids, as I have already stated. Glass will not tarnish or taint the taste of the food or liquid it is containing. With that said, that wraps up the brief history of glass bottles for this week on The Real. I would like to now move into the realm. We are headed into my realm of ombre dieu to Bjorn's apiary, honey bottling area. Welcome to the realm. We are back in the overworld, and I have brought you all to my newest apiary, or bee yard. It is called Bjorn's Bee Yard, named after the shape-shifting bear turned human and vice versa character from J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. I thought it was an appropriate place to bring you all. Why? Because glass bottles are a necessity here in order to collect that precious honey. This is where I get the greatest use of the glass bottle. Glass bottles in the game of Minecraft are very useful items for collecting honey, water, crafting potions, and capturing dragon's breath. I would like to tell you all about these functions and their use right after we talk about the Mojang history of the glass bottle. The glass bottle has been in the game of Minecraft for quite some time. It first made its appearance in the Java Beta 1.9 pre-release 2 on September 29, 2011. This pre-release added cauldrons, potions, hence glass bottles, animal breeding mechanics, and 9 music discs, along with much more, were added into this pre-release. 1 month later, on October 6, Beta pre-release 3 came out and gave the glass bottle their sole purpose, which is to collect water. This was their original function, and they are meant to collect water for potion making or brewing. It would be many years later, 8 years to be precise, on December 10th, 2019, when the Buzzy Bees update was added to Java, allowed the glass bottle to be filled with honey. And who doesn't love honey? Let's talk about how you can get your hands on some glass bottles now. The glass bottle is quite easy to acquire. All you need is 3 glass blocks and a crafting table. The 3 glass blocks will yield 3 glass bottles, or you can obtain these from witches who, on death, will drop around 0 to 6 glass bottles. If you make a monster farm, then this is a way of acquiring a few glass bottles. However, witches do not spawn too often, so the amount of glass bottles from one of these farms will not be a significant amount. So, I think you would be better off just smelting down sand into glass blocks and crafting your own glass bottles. As I said, bottles will be crafted in batches of 3, but they stack to 16 bottles maximum in a single inventory slot. Same function in the bundle. 16 bottles will fill one bundle. So remember that when gathering water, honey, dragon's breath, or potions, if you do not want to craft glass bottles for yourself or kill witches to obtain them, then you can trade for them with an expert level cleric. There is a 50% chance that an expert cleric will be able to trade glass bottles, which makes perfect sense to me that they would trade these, because their occupational block is the brewing stand. If they are able to trade them, they will trade 9 bottles for 1 emerald, which sounds like a fair trade if you ask me. Now let's move on to the bottle's uses. The glass bottle was originally put into the game to contain water in order to brew potions. All you have to do is hold the empty glass bottle in your hand and tap it against a water source to fill it up with water. You can also fill up water bottles from a cauldron full of water. Each glass bottle will withdraw 1/3 of water from the cauldron. Besides using water-filled glass bottles for brewing potions, you can also use water bottles for making mud. And mud is essential for making clay. And clay is essential for making terracotta. Allow me to play you a clip from episode 7, Badlands, where I explain how to use a water-filled glass bottle to make mud. I take dripstone and dripstone blocks I find in dripstone caves, which these caves generate far inland and not around coastal areas, according to Minecraft.wiki. Now, I place a dripstone block on a wall 3 blocks tall, then I connect the dripstone to it, directly underneath the dripstone block. Now, you just put a dirt block on top of that dripstone block, then add a bottle of water on that dirt block. That will then change into a mud block. Be patient, because it will take a minute or 2 for it to change to clay. The dripstone will wick the moisture out of the mud block, thus rendering it into a clay block. Amazing, right? That was an old episode, but is still an accurate one, and that was a super fun one to make. I remember it still today. Gosh, time flies fast. That was episode 7. Go back to episode 7, check that out if you're curious to learn more about the Badlands in Minecraft and in South Dakota. Also, it is a great episode if you want to listen to how to make terracotta factories. Now, moving on. These water bottles, as stated, can also be converted into potions. Water bottles are the base to all potions, and you cannot brew potions without them. You can also drink water yourself, but it won't provide you any sustenance. Besides water, honey is a viscous liquid, as I've stated before, that you can obtain when putting an empty glass bottle to a bee nest that is dripping full of honey. Each full beehive or bee's nest will fill up 1 glass bottle, which will now be called a honey bottle. Each honey bottle can be drank to remove poison. It will not remove any other active effects that you have going on. It will just remove the poison, which can be beneficial if you have a health potion or some other potion that you drank and do not want it to be counteracted with. Milk, however, will remove all active effects on a player. Honey is just very specific in removing poison only. That's the benefit to honey. Milk will remove everything. Honey will just take away the bad stuff and will leave the good effects that you've ingested. Besides removing poison, drinking 1 bottle of honey will restore 6 hunger points and 1.2 saturation points, which isn't bad. If you thought that was great, well, listen to this. You can also convert one honey bottle into 3 lumps of sugar, which can be used to craft baked goods such as cookies and cakes. Go check out the episode titled Overworld Desserts to learn more about crafting desserts. Honey bottles can also be found in trial chamber vaults with a 29% chance of spawning in a reward chest. Also, 4 balls of honey combined at a crafting table will yield 1 honey block, which can be used to craft other items such as sticky pistons. The next thing that you can fill the glass bottle up with is Dragon's Breath. According to Minecraft.wiki, Dragon's Breath is obtained by, quote, using empty glass bottles on the Ender Dragon's breath attack while perched, or on the purple effect clouds caused by dragon fireballs, end quote. That sounds rather difficult if you ask me. Why would people risk their lives to obtain this? Well, they have a good reason, as it turns out. Dragon's Breath can be used to make lingering effects in potions. Adding Dragon's Breath to any splash potion will upgrade it to a lingering potion. When this lingering potion is thrown on the ground, it will leave some sort of cloud that consists of potion particles. This cloud will linger for a duration of around 30 seconds. The cloud will cover a 3-block area, and whoever walks into it will receive the effects of whatever splash potion was upgraded to lingering. The cloud will slowly shrink over the duration of that 30 seconds until gone. Lingering potions of healing, poison, slowness, and weakness all have a 3.4% chance of being found in the trial chambers in a chamber dispenser. Once you consume a bottle of honey, water, or potion, the glass bottle will become an empty glass bottle and you will be able to reuse it once more, just like in real life. The glass bottle is a great recyclable item. Also, glass bottles can be used as decoration pieces as well. You could display your potions, honey, water, and other bottles in item frames and hang them on walls for everyone to admire. At my Bjorn's apiary, I have honey bottles hanging up on the walls of the fort there, and I want to cover the entire interior with honey bottles. I think it would just be really cool. With that said, that is all I have on the glass bottle for today, folks. I hope that you enjoyed hearing all about it. The Minecraft glass bottle is an interesting item in the overworld. It has been around since 2011 and has continued to take on different liquids throughout the years. In 2019, the glass bottle is able to carry honey. Not only does it carry honey, but it was built to carry water for potion brewing, and later was able to carry Dragon's Breath. The bottle is also very easy to craft and is relatively economical to make. It only costs 3 glass blocks to craft 3 glass bottles. I am sure we will see more Minecraft liquids be added to the glass bottle in future drops. Not only are glass bottles great for containing liquids in Minecraft, but it was the sought drinkware in ancient history. It was first mass-produced in Syria and Egypt, and it took off and spread across the world. People learned to blow glass into very unique and ornate vessels. The glass blowing technique helped speed up glass bottle production and made it cheaper to produce. It was not until the 19th and 20th centuries when glass bottling techniques were invented as a process known as the gobfeeder technique. And it seems apparent that glass is not going anywhere. We owe a lot to glass bottles. They help preserve the flavors of our foods and favorite drinks, and we have proof of how they could preserve perishable goods for millennia. The Speyer Roman wine bottle is the perfect example of a glass vessel used to preserve a liquid for hundreds of years. It is simply amazing that it lasted for that long. If you have seen the Speyer wine bottle in person, please write in and let me know about your experience. I would love to hear about it. Send me a direct message to my Twitter at realmnews247, email realmnews247@gmail.com, lowercase, and my Blue Sky account. I am starting to use Blue Sky more and more, and may start to make a shift from Twitter to Blue Sky, folks, for it aligns with Realm News' ethos more. You can find Realm News at realmnews.bsky.social. I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day and week. I will see you all on the next Realm News. And happy crafting, my friends. The Dark Lord, signing out. Hello, Realm News fans. I just wanted to pop back in here and just tell you all how much I appreciate you for listening to the show. It means the world to me that you tune in every week to hear me, the Dark Lord, the one who puts the real in realm and expands your mind one block at a time. I am honored to be your host and to be able to deliver to you weekly original Minecraft content, with Realm News Flash and Realm News on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you enjoyed the show, I would love it if you would tell your friends about it and tell them to follow the show. Hit that like button and leave a comment. I know that on Spotify you can leave comments on individual episodes, same on Good Pods. I'm not sure on all the other podcast player platforms out there, but I appreciate the feedback, so please comment if you are able to. If you cannot comment wherever you listen to Realm News, then you can by following Realm News at either its Twitter, now X, Blue Sky, Reddit, or email, which is all found at bio.link/realmnews, which is all lowercase. Again, that is bio.link/realmnews. There you can also make a monetary donation by clicking on the Ko-Fi link. I put in about 30 hours a week in research, writing, editing, marketing, recording, social media, and much more in creating and keeping this show running. The donations would help me eventually give up my second job so I can focus more on this podcast and deliver more content with better quality to you. I understand times are tough, and I do not expect anyone to give me money. I'm just saying that if you are able to, it's much appreciated. However, you can show your appreciation by just listening, liking, following, or recommending the show, as I said earlier. That means much more than you would ever know. With that said, I wish you all happy crafting, and I look forward to talking to you at the next Realm News episode. The Dark Lord, signing out.